Vintage Computer Mega Haul 3.0. Yeah. A lot more goodies here. A whole lot more goodies. Here's one of the magazines I brought home. Computer Shopper. This is the thick ones. Check out that computer on the front there. I wonder if I've seen that computer before. Oh, that's right. I just so happen to already have one of those. Isn't that pretty cool? Insight Computers. No, this is not one I pulled out from over there. This is one I've had. Actually, my dad bought this brand new. And I still keep it. Good machine. Nice big tower. But I like the fact that I've got the Computer Shopper magazine that advertised this computer in it. So that's pretty cool. Found one of those AT&T keyboards I was talking about in the last video. That's the connector right there for it. Now I'll be able to test those little AT&T boxes and see if they work. The big one does. The big one I've got up and running right now, as a matter of fact. That's a very interesting box. I can only find one of these keyboards, and there's like 3 or 4 of those computers over there, so yeah, hopefully we'll find some more of these keyboards, but this will be good enough to test those computers with. Another clicky keyboard. This keyboard that I showed in the last video that had this funky plug on it, well, I got the computer for that. And that would be this guy right here. But I'll save him for a little bit later in the video because I gotta get to the rest of this stuff. I grabbed a couple external Hitachi drives here, CD-ROMs. Those are pretty neat. They take a cartridge that goes in there. Got 2 of them. These got their own power supply. Not sure if these are parallel or SCSI. Have to check that out. Doesn't look like they're labeled SCSI. Audio output, so you could use that on your home stereo if you wanted to. I don't know if anybody actually ever did that back then. But the option's there in case you wanted to. And get that out of the way. Those bad boys. Very nice drives. A whole entire box full of those Gateway 2000 AnyKey keyboards there. Unfortunately, as I drop all those, a good majority of them, as you can see, have writing on them, which will come off. That will come off, but they're also kind of yellowed a little bit, some of them. And as you can see, they're missing some of the keys. So probably going to have to combine as many of those as I can into working keyboards, full complete keyboards, and maybe sell the others for parts or something like that. But I know I've got at least one person interested in these, so yeah, I finally got them here. And this was one of the things that I specifically went over there for, was to get these. And yeah, there's probably at least, I don't know, probably 7 of those in that box. Got a another Bernoulli cartridge. This one's in cellophane, although it has been opened. But new 20 meg cartridge. Yeah. High capacity flexible disc cartridge. Yeah. So there's a rumor going around that there are 2 brand new in-box Bernoulli drives somewhere over there. We weren't able to find them this time, but if they're over there, we definitely will. They probably are. There's also a whole other box full, apparently full, except for it might hold 2 or 3 more discs, of Bernoulli discs, cartridges in it. So, who knows what else is over there to be found. besides a whole bunch of very interesting monitors. Some that might actually be worth something to sell on eBay, I'm not sure. Problem is with stuff like that is the shipping costs and boxing them up and hoping that they actually survive. I mentioned in the last video I had a box of 30-pin Sims. Well, here it is. I forgot to bring the box home, so I grabbed that this time. And yeah. Speaking of which, there was like 3 other boxes, system board boxes over there just like this. That were empty. I probably should have grabbed those now that I think about it. That box there is full of sim expanders, and I'm going to have to talk about those sim expanders a little bit. I'm hoping that the ones needed to complete the set is in that box. You see, those sim expanders actually have 4 different modules to them. And because one is short, one is tall, and then the second one is tall but reversed, and the other one is short but reversed, and that's so that the memory sims that you install on them can fit over each other there. So that's why they do that. Got a little pyramid effect thing going on. The problem is that there's only one type of 30-pin and 2 types of the 72-pin style in that box. So I'm hoping that this one will have at least some of the other ones needed. Otherwise, I'm not sure how good these are, how useful these things are going to be. They're probably going to be useless, unfortunately. That's a real bummer because, yeah, that's just the way it is. I grabbed this. This was kind of interesting, only because it has a Design for Windows 95 sticker on it. Samsung 8X CD-ROM drive. Kind of a nice looking drive. August 1996. Most of this stuff is boxes of parts. Here's a bag of RAM right here. And there's also a rumor that there's a bag full of 256K 30-pin Sims. So who knows what those are, where they are, if they're in this box, or if these are all 1s, if these are all 4s. Who knows, but this actually should be in that box. I found a whole bunch of paperwork, compact stuff here, and I'm not entirely certain. That's for System Pro, that's for a server. System Pro XL, that might actually go to that other computer. I'm not sure what computers these go to yet, but I thought I'd grab them anyway because in this box was compact setup discs, boot time loadable driver system configuration utility, and I'm kind of thinking this might go to the portables. I'm not sure about that. I haven't looked at these yet. I just got home. Some of these might go to the portables, but they might go to, I don't know, 386. That one says System Pro XL. And so does that one, but these other ones aren't labeled. So there's kind of a mixture of stuff going on here. And there's some little magazines and stuff down here. Prodigy, CompuServe, stuff like that. So I gotta go through that box of stuff. That was something that I just kind of grabbed and went with. And yeah. This computer I grabbed, it'll probably end up being, oh, look at that, Seasonic power supply. Huh. There you go. This computer probably, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I grabbed it because of the motherboard. This has an Intel HX chipset motherboard. It is a gigabyte board according to that right there. It doesn't have a cache socket here. This looks like it's got the 512K of cache soldered to it on here already. And it's got a processor of unknown speed. So far I haven't seen anything over there that was in the socket 5, socket 7, even 486 stuff that was Cyrix or AMD, except for one AMD processor, or a couple AMD processors. I guess you count the 286 and a 386. But pretty much everything over there is Intel, so I imagine this is probably an Intel Pentium 166 or something like that. I guess I could see if I could take the heatsink off and see, but that feels like it's stuck on there pretty good. But so who knows what that chip actually is. It's got some memory on it. This has 6 EDO 72 pin slots on it, so that should be a very interesting and fun board to play with. Etherlink cards. Got that one. I got a serial parallel card. I don't know why I grabbed that, but apparently I did. There's another Ethernet card. Definitely can use more of these. They come in handy. Got a box full of removable hard drive trays. I already have some of these, but they come in so handy that I figured I'd just go ahead and grab some more of them. So yeah, they're there, so I might as well, right? And I've got a sound card buried in here. Some kind of a ESS Maestro. That's what it is, Maestro 1 on there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a CD-ROM. There's some stuff buried under there. I don't know what's under there. I just kind of, again, grabbed the box and went with it. This box right here has mostly a bunch of magazines, you know, sales magazines you get in the mail, things like that from back in the day. Some CD-ROM booklets and a lot of mostly just junk in here. But I decided to grab the whole box just because of these magazines. And I really didn't feel like going through the box to see what was in there. It was a whole brand new pack of Iomation CDRs. So I grabbed that. Might go through the... Here's an AOL disc. I'm gonna have to go through this box to see. There's some other motherboard manuals in here, fax data, you know, stuff that's pretty much worthless. But I figured that there was probably some interesting magazines in there, at least if nothing else. This box down here is full of magazines, including some PC magazine ones in there. This box, that box, that box, and that massive box back there are full of computer parts and motherboards. So I'm going to move these boxes one at a time to the video computer, or whatever you want to call it, room. Video editing lab, computer mess around lab, whatever you want to call it. So we have some better lighting and we'll go through these boxes here. I have to warn you right now, there's a lot of stuff in here, and a lot of, you know, there's some interesting stuff in here, in all these boxes. Excuse me. I had to stop filming and have some dinner, because it was almost 9 o'clock by the time I got home, so I'm still burping up those hot dogs. Anyway, let's get this show on the road. And this is a very special computer, and we will be getting to that towards the end of the video, because I've got to keep you in suspense on what this thing is. Alright, so first off, whatever is easiest to grab from the top. Let's see here. A couple brand new hard drive coolers here. And, you know, it's too bad that I don't have the Dual Pentium Pro anymore, because this probably would have fit over both those processors. But, figured that would probably come in pretty handy. Second one down here. Let's see here. Grab this hard drive. It's labeled as a 1 gigabyte drive. NEC. It's kind of unique. Made in Japan, so I'm guessing that probably still works. So far, all the drives that I've tested so far have worked. I've only tested a small handful of the drives I've pulled so far, but they all work, so I'm pretty hopeful that one will too. Some more ISA Ethernet cards. I actually got a whole crap load of these things. Not so much the 3coms, but this is an interesting video card here with a Cirrus Logic chip on it. Cardinal Technologies. Might be interesting to play with there. Cirrus Logic chips were okay. Got some manuals here, some more diamond. This looks like to a Stealth 2000. I only know that because I've got one. Sure, see, it should say on the disc what it is. Yep, 3D 2000. Yep. Haven't seen that video card over there though, but there is a couple Gateway machines that have Stealth. Well, they use that S3 chip anyway. Let's see, what is this one? I got some sound cards too. ESS sound card. Can you tell? $18.59. Well, if I get it out of the package one-handed here, I guess I'll just do this. It's been in there for so long, I guess it didn't want to come out. Looks like a brand new card to me. ESS audio drive. That'd be a good card to throw on a 386 or something. Looks like it's got a IDE controller there on it, or CD-ROM interface, probably. Just not an IDE controller, but CD-ROM interface. Probably a Mitsumi interface, I'm guessing. So pretty much any IDE CD-ROM should work with that, hopefully. Yeah, that'll be good for that'll be a good card to throw in a 386 box, which I seem to have plenty of. In fact, I might throw this in the AT&T box, which, by the way, I do have up and running. I don't have it turned on right now, but this massive beast, and it is a beast. And I have started filming this box, so there will be a video, separate video about it, but it is a very fascinating box. I've got 24 meg of RAM in it right now, and yeah, it's a massive box. It's a heavy box too. Grabbed this interesting looking card. Got Intel chips on it there. Probably memory controllers of some sort. I don't know what this exactly this is. It looks like a memory expansion card. All 4 megabyte. I don't know if this is... It looks like a VLB card to me. A VLB memory expansion card. It's what it looks like to me. I don't know if I could just throw this in a 486 board or not and it work, but I figured it's interesting. It's worth messing with if nothing else. Hey, there's some memory on it, so I grabbed it just for the memory if nothing else. It's just interesting things like that you don't see anymore, you know? Found this LCD thermometer. That's pretty cool. Lee and Lee, look at that. I bet that wasn't too cheap, being Lee and Lee. I've even got that case too, but I do actually have a Lee and Lee case. That's what the UGM 1.0 is in. My Tualatin system that I did a video about a couple years ago. That's in a black Lee and Lee case I got off eBay for like 30 bucks. Very, very nice case. I may sell that motherboard. I don't know. I haven't used that computer for a while. Another IDE controller. Definitely can never have enough of these, especially since I'm selling these motherboards and stuff. I like to sell them with the IDE controllers, if at all possible. But I think I've got more motherboards than IDE controllers, so that probably will not happen with all of them. But found an Ultra 66 controller too. I already have a 133 controller, but hey, again, you can never have too many of those. I found a few of these Matrox cards right here. Two megabyte. I can't really tell. MGA Power Graphics.
Has a AMD EEPROM on it there. Yeah, figured that'd be a fun card to play with since it's a Matrox. I got another Sound Blaster 16 in here. This one's got the IDE controller on it. I can feel it. Or the CD-ROM interface, whatever you want to call it. Here is something very, very nice to have. This is an ET3000. There you go. ISA card, made in Hong Kong. Hong Kong. And it looks like this is an 8/16-bit card, so, that might be kind of fun to throw that in an XT. It's an awfully tiny chip. I thought this was an ET4000, but it says ET3000 on it, so, oh well, that's alright. T-Sang made pretty much top-the-line video cards in terms of performance back then, so any T-Sang video card is okay in my book. An El Cheapo sound card here, nothing fancy, but throw it in the box. Another one of these Matrox cards. This one has a memory expansion board on it, bringing it up to probably 4 meg of RAM. Kind of looks like these might have come out of a Compaq, if I had to guess. But I don't know that for sure. Kind of looks like Compaq labeling there. Suppose it could be Dell labeling. I don't know for sure. I don't see a Dell part number, although I don't know if Dell used those types, the same style of part number back then that they do nowadays. But I have a feeling probably all this stuff works. So far it's all worked. There's a Packard Bell sound card. I know what system that's probably going to go into. Crystal Sound. Actually, I have 3 Packard Bell systems right now. Believe it or not. I'll have to do a video on those sometime. CD-ROM interfaces again there. Mitsumi, Panasonic, and Sony. These are actually pretty good sound cards. I mean, they're not anything terribly great, but you know, they don't have too bad a sound quality, and their MIDI capabilities are, they're there. They're not anything that you want to really, make professional music with, but yeah, it's you don't see Packard Bell sound. Well, yeah, actually, I think they are on eBay, so that's not like something all that rare anyway. Creative Labs. What is this? Probably a Vibro 16. These things have been in the bag for so long they don't want to come out. Nope, that's not what it is. Huh. Trident 8900. 8900D. Seems like these are pretty popular cards because I've got quite a few of them now. But you know what? They work, and they're good enough for me. A little bit older IDE controller here. Can never have too many of those. Because all 3 of those UMC chips right there. Grab this. Still sealed. Microsoft Windows 95. Thought that was pretty nice to have. Sealed, unopened. Compaq. Desk Pro. Oh, this is a card that I'm thinking might work for the Bernoulli drives. I don't know that for sure. It looks like it's got a 50-pin connector on the back of it. It's not labeled iOmega like the other ones I got, so I don't know. But I'm guessing this would work with the Bernoulli drive. I'm hoping it will, because I do need more of those. I got a CD-ROM down, which is kind of a nice drive. Uses that tray right there to insert it. Needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but it's a rather interesting looking drive. All wrapped up in plastic. Huh, it's got a removable door right there. Look at that. Sony. Oh crap, that uses that Sony interface, doesn't it? Well, that's the first time I've ever had a Sony interface CD-ROM drive. That means I don't have a cable for that. That could be a problem. Well, that's unique though. Definitely never had one of those. Only ever seen the connectors, but I never seen anything else. This board was interesting. This is a either ESID or ESDI, I mean, or something controller board. It looks like ESDI to me, but it's got AMD microprocessors on it, which is pretty cool. 1981 and 82. It's got an AMD ROM on it from 1984. Got another ROM up there. This looks like an Adaptec card. So yeah. It might be an RLL controller, but MFM ones usually have two of this larger connector on them, along with two of the smaller connectors. So I don't think this is an MFM controller, but yeah, it is pretty old though. It looks brand new. In fact, it might be brand. No, it's been in a motherboard. I can see the shininess on the pins there. But it's very clean. Very clean though. Let's see here. Try it 9680p installation disc. This is definitely one for a Bernoulli drive with the iOmega logo on it there. This is the larger controller card that I grabbed, or that I could find anyway. You can see some creative reworking there. Some fine little wires right there that got soldered around. There's some more creative wiring right there. Creative redo. Huh. Plan is to sell the Bernoulli drives, at least the ones that I've got working anyway, with the controllers and some of the cartridges, so makes it a little bit more enticing to purchase. This is a what looks to possibly be a brand new Zip 250 disc drive. I only ever had the Zip 100 drives. I think I might have an external 250 though. I don't remember now, but I don't have any 250 discs. And I grabbed this because one of the computers I got the first time was missing its hard drive, and I need a hard drive caddy to put in it, so I figured I might be able to use this to make it work. So that's just one of the boxes. Well, the second box. You could fast forward this video to the end to see the grand finale computer there, but you'd miss out on so many other wonderful things that I'm going to show in this video. Like 2 brand new unopened boxes of Microsoft mice. Check that out. And these are just 2 of them. I'm just going to try to sell these on eBay, honestly. I don't really need them. But I've already got a pretty nice Microsoft home mouse. So these will just go up on eBay. This one's got a little tear in the cellophane, but otherwise they're both unopened. They're both brand new. So serial and PS2 versions. So those will definitely I don't know if they're worth anything just because they're new and unopened, but they might be worth a couple bucks anyway. I won't rape anybody too hard on those if they're interested. I got some riser cards. This is a Dell riser card, which in itself isn't really anything terribly special, but I've also got the motherboard to it, and another Coast module here. This is a Socket 5 motherboard. See it right there. See the wonderful mass of chips on it there. One of the very earliest Intel chipsets for the Pentium processor. So, yeah. Uses that ATX looking power supply connector just like that P120 that I have uses as well. I guess it might be kind of fun to find out if an ATX power supply would really work on that. It might. It very well might. I don't know. But I like to get this thing running because it at least be a good way to compare this very early Pentium chipset performance-wise to some of the ones that later come out. So that'll be an interesting one there if I can get that thing up and working without frying it. Anyway, another Trident video card here. Nothing terribly fancy, but you know, it work good for test video cards and stuff like that. Another Ethernet card. Again, always handy to have around. And just some random little sound card, except this is a Ariel Vortex 2. I never really thought these cards were all that special. I know a lot of people like these Ariel cards. I had one years ago, and I really wasn't all that impressed. I don't know, I just prefer the Sound Blaster Lives to these. But got one, it ain't gonna go anywhere, and I might actually do a comparison, sound test comparison of this, because maybe I was wrong. Maybe these do sound better. I don't know. I know games you are a little bit faster with these cards, but at least that's what people claimed anyway. So it'd be worth a video to test it with. Here's a pack of memory chips here. There's about 4 others of these tubes over there. This one was just kind of in there, I guess. Yet another sound card, which I'm guessing is an AW32, but I haven't looked up the model number, obviously, because I just got all this stuff. But I think this is a brand new card. Copyright 1995. I suppose it could be an AW64. ADE interface. No, it's a Vibra 16. V16, yeah, it's a Vibra 16. No, it says Sound Blaster 16 on it, but yeah, I think that's a Vibra 16, which aren't bad cards, but they're a little bit less impressive than the Oz are as far as MIDI capabilities go. But you know, CD-ROM IDE interface, you know, that's, you can never go wrong with that. If you know, for nothing else. Here's another LCD thermostat right here. This one is apparently a 5 1/4 inch bay one. Look at that. Ain't that cool? Again, a Lee & Lee. And that's pretty much exactly the case that I've got, except mine is black. So, one of those might end up in that Lee & Lee case just because. This box is full of 486 CPUs and 1 Pentium in there. And some more Trident video cards. And the Cirrus Logic one here. But again, as ISA video cards are starting to become hard to find, at least for reasonable prices, so yeah, never hurts to have those. And yeah. Most of these are SX chips. There's a few DXs in here. This one claims to be a DX4100. And it's in an Intel package right there. So that might be a brand new chip. Yeah. It's amazing what you find when you're just looking around. You can tell these early chips too. Like I said, I might have said this in a previous video, but the earlier chips, 46 Intel chips, only have a copyright 1999 on them, whereas the later ones have copyright 1992 also on there. And it's interesting because you look at these early SX chipset or processors, and they have a different core than the DX chips do. Like for example, this one right here. I think this is the same copyright 1989. This is the same era. This is a DX33. But you see that the back side is a full-size core, whereas the SX has a little bit of a narrower core there. The DX is full screen and the SX is widescreen. But what's interesting is that it looks like Intel at that time actually manufactured the SX processor as a separate chip instead of just taking a failed 486DX, you know, one that has a bad math coprocessor built into it, and rebadging it as an SX chip. So yeah, that's something interesting, I guess. This is probably out of a gateway, looking at that heatsink. But yeah, like I said, everything, pretty much everything over there it's pretty much all Intel. Well, now that looks like an AMD right there, with a couple smashed pins. SX266. Wow. Have to try to straighten those pins out and see if that works. It's one thing about these these processors, that thermal compound pretty much keeps that heatsink in place. You don't even need a clip for those things, really. There's one Pentium processor in here. This is a 100. I've got a few of those already. Another SX. See, and I don't know if, when it comes to these processors, if the SXs that are the original, if 46s that are the original 46s that copyright 1989, the first runs of them, I guess you want to call it, if they're worth more than the 1992 copyrighted ones. Intel, that's got a... Huh. That's interesting. It's got a black cover on the back of it. I wonder what that chip is. Let me just set that down just for a second here. It almost looks like the same cover that they used, that Cyrix used. That's a connector. Almost, but not quite. That's an interesting processor. Oh, I'm about ready to spill them all. Let's see what this is. I'm going to pause the video and take this heatsink off. It doesn't want to slide off, so I'm going to have to find something to pry that off because I'm kind of really curious as to what that is. Huh. Well, I wasn't able to get the heatsink off, and I didn't want to try too terribly hard. I can only guess this might be an overdrive chip of some sort, but it must be a pretty late end of the 46 era for manufacturing anyway, because I cannot find any Pentium or 46 chips that I have that have this black cover on the back of them like the Pentium processor next to it here has. And even the IBM manufactured 46 DX266, which I have, very, very rare chip, by the way. I plan to do a video about that one of these days, but even it doesn't have that on it. So, yeah, that's a very interesting chip right there. So I'm going to have to find a motherboard to stick that in sometime, because I'd like to know if that is an overdrive chip or what that is. It's got to be an overdrive chip, I'm guessing. Yet another box has appeared. Woo-wee! What's in this box is not a TNT2. What's in it is an ETSing 4000 EISA video card. So, I have the perfect system to test this in. Even though I don't have an ISA version of the ET4000, that one's a 3000, so it might not be a relevant test to compare it, but I have the VLB, two VLBs as a matter of fact, an EISA, and a PCI. Fascinating to see if there's any performance difference between those different buses and chips. And actually I'm going to have a way to do that when I show you the secret system that's coming up later in this video. But you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Good things come to those who wait. SCSI CD-ROM. See, high trees, and I told you I'd find another one of these. Not a burner, but I found one. Whether it works or not, that's a whole other question, but this is an interesting little hard drive. 3.2 gigabyte drive. Very interesting drive. Never seen anything like this in IDE. Made in India. Huh. So that should be an interesting drive to test. Driving the future. This, I think that says driving. Maybe this is drawing. I can't really tell. Let's see what it says here. I guess that says driving the future. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell. This, I have no idea. I don't think it's a SCSI controller. It's not, doesn't have enough chips on it to be a SCSI controller. I don't have any idea what this is. It was there. I grabbed it. Color graphics printer adapter. I wonder how many people used to plug serial devices into these video card ports, monitor ports. I bet a lot of people probably did. Jumpers are kind of smashed a little bit on this card, but nothing that can't be fixed if it works. Here's a 286 board, I think. Maybe not. What is this? It's got so much dust on it I can't tell. It must be an XT. Got a lot of interesting rewiring going on here. It's got a lot of NEC chips on it. I'm guessing that's the processor socket up here. 8088, yeah. It looks like 2 megahertz to me. That -2 is right. 8088. That's an interesting looking board. It'd be interesting if that worked. Foxconn maybe? Assembly, NCR mainboard. I'm pretty sure this is definitely not a Tandy motherboard. I don't think. It does look like it's good. That's a front joystick port, though. NCR mainboard. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I have no clue about that. EFAR chipset. 387 486. Yeah, it's got a 386DX pad right there. Kind of makes me wonder if I could take a 386 lift socket, solder it onto this board, and have a dual 386-46 board. That would be an interesting test. That would be an interesting test, because, you know, I just happen to have quite a few 386 boards laying around all of a sudden. Wouldn't that be fascinating? Because this is a VLB board. It would be quite interesting to see a 386 on a VLB bus. Since those seem to be pretty hard to find, yeah, it might be worth a hack. What do you think? Do you think, guys, maybe I should do a hack? Sacrificial hack? I'm quite surprised that this battery is not leaking in the slightest. There's no corrosion at all on that thing. Opti. 8 memory slots on it, which is kind of rare to see for a 486 board. Not terribly rare, but usually 486 boards have 4 30-pin or 4 plus 2 72-pin or 72-pin only or something like that. But usually a board this size, this is just a standard AT, baby AT form factor. Usually these boards only have 4 memory slots on them, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, 50 megahertz clock crystal right there. Since I've got some 386 boards that have 80 megahertz clock crystals on them, this would be a good overclocking motherboard. I actually have another motherboard, and it's ISA only, so this one would be a real fun board to play with. But I have ran a DX50, a true DX50 chip at 66 megahertz with that other board using a 66 megahertz clock crystal. So yeah, that's a fun little experiment to do, and it actually works pretty good. Quite snappy. Memory timing is a bitch though. 66 megahertz is really pushing it on these things, but yeah, I did get it to work, but being that it was only an ISA bus, it really didn't perform all that good. Being this one's a VLB, and this thing's got all kinds of creative reworking on it. I mean, my goodness, I mean, look at all this. Wow, they must have had a real problem. When they manufactured this board, there must have been some serious problems, because they really had to. I've never seen a board, a 46 board of this like this with so much rewiring done on it. That's just unbelievable. I mean, you usually see it on XT boards or maybe 386s occasionally, but 46s, wow. Tell you what, you find a lot of really interesting things when you start looking around at stuff. Let's see, what is this motherboard? Probably a 386 board. Seems to be the majority of stuff over there is like 46 or older. The majority of the stuff I seem to find in anti-static bags doesn't want to come out in anti-static bags. No. What is this? This is an Intel 386 board. Another one with an Intel chipset on it, and that... Oh no. That's not good. Woo! Well, I think that's might be savable though. Doesn't look like the PCB is burned into. Looks like it's just kind of, it's got a little bit of that ISA there, but traces. Yeah, that one trace looks like it might be eaten right there. Ooh, I gotta have to try to save this board, because it's an Intel board. So it's got a math coprocessor on it right there. Yeah. Looks like this is an AMI motherboard. Huh. Now that's pretty rare to find an actual genuine AMI motherboard. Huh. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that out of the sink right away. But I think a few more minutes won't hurt any worse. PC world. Internet world. Oh, and there's more boards under here. Look at that. I told you there was a lot of stuff. All parts. Let's see, what is this? I think this is a 286. I could be wrong. But I think this is a 286. Yep. 28612. I would like to overclock one of these. AMI BIOS. It's like it's missing all the memory on it, but that might be okay considering I got those RAM cards. And again, this battery looks like it's brand new. It's not leaking at all. That's good. So if that charges up, might be in good shape on that one. Let's see, what's this clock crystal? I'm kind of curious. .25 megahertz, so that must... Well, does that mean I could put a 33 megahertz clock crystal in that? Overclock this to, what, 16 megahertz? Put a 40 40 or 50 megahertz clock crystal and then overclock this to 20 or 25 megahertz. That would be pretty fun if it would actually run at that speed. I think it'd be rather fun to compare a 286.25 megahertz to a 386.25. I think that'd be kind of fun. And then like to a 46.25. That'd be awfully fun. And I got these boards. More 386 boards here. These ones have the SIP RAM installed on them here. Let's see. SX20. Neat SX. Battery's looking a little nasty there, so that's, you have to clean that. Give that a good soaking. Boards like that, I've had hit or miss luck with cleaning and fixing and making them work, but this one's not too happy. This is the exact same board. Again with SIP RAM in it. Which, if nothing else, I might just sell this SIP RAM. Because this stuff is awfully rare, I think. Here's what one of those looks like. You can see the pins are just soldered. The pads there are just soldered with pins. They're nothing terribly special. But, yeah. I don't know if these are better than the other way or not. Sims or not, I don't know. I kind of think they're probably not as good as Sims when it comes to, it seems to me like the pin, the holes that you plug these things into would possibly become loose over time. See how loose this stick is right here? I kind of have a feeling that would probably cause problems over time. That's probably why they stopped doing it. Got a whole box of mess of cables down here, so maybe there'll be a Sony cable down here. I don't know, probably not, but you can always hope, right? Okay, so I think I've got one more box. Now I've got the box of magazine, PC World magazines, but I don't think I'm going to bother showing that. Yeah, so I guess let's move on to the last box here and get this video wrapped up because it's probably getting way too long by now. Oh, the last box. Now see, aren't you glad that you hung in this long? Because you never know what you're going to see. I don't even know what's in half of these boxes. I just kind of grabbed and went, honestly. Let's see, what's this? Mostly cables. Oh, this was a box that was labeled IDE controllers. I didn't know if there was only a couple in here or if there was more than a couple, but looks like there might be one there. That's what that was. That was just a box of IDE controllers. The motherboard that is written not the 46DX2. This is actually kind of an interesting board too. I looked at this while I was over there. I think this is probably brand new. Oh. See what happens when you hold the camera? You start staring at boxes while you wait for the person, the filming the video, to get done with what he's doing. This is turning into a B. Bishop PCM video. Okay, so that's the processor that's on this thing. non-cache version, which means it doesn't look like there's even the option to install cache on this board. Giving it the old sniff test. Yeah, this is a brand new board. It has a little bit of an old smell to it, but it has a new smell too. Battery is pristine. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Well, I can't imagine this being a particularly high performance board, but there is some speed adjustments at least. Looks like it'll go clear down to 16 megahertz. 46SX, 47SX, 46DX. Huh. 46SX, and of course the box doesn't want to stay up. That is I can't read it. Isn't printed very well, whatever that is. It's probably a 25. But yeah, that's something you don't see every day either. I don't know why there's so many variants of the 46 chip back then. I don't understand it. I don't even understand the reason for the 47 to exist, because the 47 was really nothing more than a 46 DX that was remarked as a 47. Yeah, there's really not much in here. I grabbed a bunch of Ethernet Intel cards. These ones, unfortunately, are low-profile cards, but I figure that I can still use these if I take the back plate off of them. I just won't be able to mount them to the back of the case. But these would be good for when I'm bench testing boards, bench comparing them or whatever. I don't put them in a case, but they'll just be sitting on top of the bench running. I can just plug these in and get my network going there. And I got a whole pile of these things. And got a coaxial ArcNet cable, which has a converter on the other end of it, if I can find it. Which converts it to what looks like a phone cable. But yeah, that's what I used to run for network back in the day. Coaxial. I used to call it ArcNet. I think it got about 1.5 megabit a second with that. But I'd like to set a network up again with this stuff, just to show you how that works. Show you guys how it works, because it was kind of interesting. But I'd have to find a switch to use that with, and so far that has not been found over there. Another one of those Gateway AnyKey keyboards. This one's actually in pretty good shape. Alright, so you've made it this long, and it's getting to be about 11:30 at night. So we're going to save that for another video. How about that? No? Okay, I guess I'll do it. For many years now, I've had this Pentium 60 processor, and pulled this out of a Gateway system many years ago. This is the original Pentium 60 processor with the FDIF bug in it. You can notice it's not the gold top version. You don't see these on eBay anymore. You only see the gold top versions selling, which makes this chip probably extremely rare. Yes, this chip does work, at least the last time I used it, but that was about 15, 16, 17 years ago now. That's why I'm very excited to have found this. Yes, this is
Batman! I don't do that as good as High Treason does, but this is a serious Batman system. I knew Batman had to be over there. I mean, all this stuff that's over there, he just had to be lurking around somewhere. This is a compact system. This is a Compaq Desk Pro XL560. That's the front of it right there. This is a very high-end Pentium 60 box as far as I can tell. This uses a CPU memory board right here with everything on it. Plugs in to the motherboard, which is EISA and PCI. Ho 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 ho. This is a very unique card too. You can see that it looks like a SCSI port on there. In fact, I do believe it probably is a SCSI card. Might be, I don't know. But if you notice, the camera would focus, it's also the video card. That's because this is actually a very interesting, a very unique, something I have never seen before either. It's a Matrox card with a Cirrus Logic SCSI controller on it. Compaq, some kind of proprietary Compaq board. Absolutely incredible. This is an amazing find. Absolutely incredible. An EISA Pentium 60. Just absolutely amazing. This is the revised gold top version Pentium 60, and you can see they didn't do a very good job with that heatsink. That heatsink's not even contacting that processor. You can see right through it there. So I have a feeling that this computer may have been stored for occasional crashing issue due to overheating, if I had to guess. Hopefully it works. Probably does though. I have a pretty good feeling about this stuff. So yeah, this is a very interesting system right here. So now I have both versions of the Pentium 60 processor. This does use that Intel Mercury chipset, at least I think it's the Mercury chipset. I'll have to find out a little bit later. But it's a different layout than that Gateway / Intel OEM board that High Treason had. And hopefully that means it's a little bit better. This does have, I believe this is a 100% original system too. And it's in excellent, excellent shape. It's got a Connor SCSI hard drive in it. Looks like to be about a 540 meg drive, if I'm understanding that part number correctly. Either that or it's a 3 gig drive, but I don't think so. But it is definitely SCSI. You can see the Terminator right there for it. The CD-ROM looks like it's also SCSI as well. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to tear into the system a little bit and find out for sure. It looks to me like it's got a SCSI controller on the board itself down in there. And yeah, this is an amazing find. Absolutely just amazing. I just was chucked to bits finding this thing. See the blank slot cover there. Probably is a 4X CD-ROM if I had to guess. Maybe a 6 or an 8 speed. Hard to tell. But it's really pretty clean in here too. So really not any dust to speak of. There's a little bit on the heatsink. I mean a very tiny little bit. But
I mean, there's really it's very minimal. Absolutely, I mean, and that fan, there's no dust on that fan at all. I don't know. I don't think this system. Well, yeah, there's some dust right there on the fan, on back side of the blades down there. Can't really see it for very well, but I see some dust on the back side of that fan blade right there. So I don't think it was used too much, but that heatsink is very clean. The insides of this thing are very clean. There's very little dust at all on this motherboard. Made in USA. This would be a pre-HP Compaq, back when Compaq still built fairly high quality machines. Copyright 1994. We've got some dip switches down there. A uniquely colored cable which has a fan logo next to it. Lithium battery hidden behind that cable. Some kind of proprietary Compaq chip there. Also has an AMD PCIe chip there, or PCnet, excuse me, for the onboard Ethernet. There's your external SCSI port, serial port, mouse, and then you've got that funky special keyboard right there. So yeah, and it's got onboard audio too, which I think I saw a Crystal Advanced Devices, that's what it was, sound port chip down in here. It's absolutely incredible. This is going to be fun. Absolutely fun. Let's see. So we've got memory on the board itself, plus 72 pin SIMs. So there's 1, 2, looks like there's 2 rows of memory soldered to the board, and then 4 additional sticks in it, which are all Compaq sticks, meaning they're probably the original shipment memory, original memory that was shipped with the computer. So yeah, man, it says 60 nanos, 6-6 on those, so they must be EDO. Although that one says 70, and that's also a Gold Star chip, whereas the other ones are I don't know. Yeah, that's a Gold Star, and the third one down there is a Gold Star, and the other 2 are, well, wonder how much memory this thing has, assuming each one.
The key, of course, to buying a Pentium PC is getting improved performance, but how much better is a Pentium than a good 486? Here to show us is Ron Olfers of Compaq.
That's good.
Ron, first of all, what are the 2 machines we have here?
What we're showing, Stuart, is a Compaq Desk Pro family. On the right is a Compaq Desk Pro 48633. On the left, the Desk Pro 566M, the Pentium product from Compaq. On the right, also, just for clarification, is a 17-inch 1024 monitor, and the Cuvision 200, the new monitor on the left.
Okay, so that's a 48633. This is a Pentium 66. Right. All right, now let's take a look at this board. Now, I understand because this is a modular design, if I wanted to, I can upgrade this by putting in a board that has the Pentium processor on it, which would be a board like this?
That's exactly correct.
All right, and what's on here?
What we're looking at is the processor board for the Desk Pro M. On the right, you'll see the Pentium processor along with its fan complex. The Pentium processor sits just under the fan. Moving to the left, you see the 256K of second level cache.
That's this guy in the middle here.
In the middle, and we can take this off because it can be installed easily by the user.
Okay.
Moving further to the left, you see the 8 megabyte of standard memory, or 16 megabyte, which is on the back side.
Okay.
Notice also the SIM sockets are there. You can carry up to 144 megabytes of memory right on the system board.
Okay. Can we look at the back of the board, see the rest of the memory, and also explain what you have as you call it Triflex architecture.
Right.
What does that mean?
Triflex architecture actually started as Flex architecture in the 386. we actually separate the memory from the processor bus in order to get higher
And
performance.
is that the 3 chips you have here?
That's the 3 chips
Uh-huh.
here plus the 4 address buffers. And what we've done with that is designing our own chipset for the Pentium. We make use of all the performance and features that are in there. The biggest one is to make sure, as Stephen said, to keep the Pentium processor full.
Yeah.
And we do a 128-bit path of memory, along with things like looking at algorithms to understand what the next instruction cycle may be.
Let me ask you about the heat question again. And you showed me the fan sitting in front of the Pentium, and you've got these sort of cooling devices here. What are you doing with these things?
What we have are the 560 Pentium and the 566. On the 560, we can cool it very adequately by using a passive heatsink.
So the 60 megahertz chip takes that
It's
down
used
to
as a
cool
passive
off.
heatsink. What we've done when we designed the Desk Pro M back in 1990 and early 91, we knew that it would have a Pentium in it. We designed it for that. So we had the airflow actually coming around the outside of the computer and to make sure that it cools it. When the 66 megahertz, we actually go ahead and put the extra fan just for that extra margin of safety.
Yeah. All right, can we go run our little benchmark test here and maybe get this guy out of the way?
Uh-oh. There's a keyboard plugged into this thing. You know what that means. Of course, this is one of them gay-ass VGA connectors with one pin not punched out. Well, I'm going to have to take care of that before I can plug the dang monitor cable in. Noel's going to take care of that right now. That one's probably too big. Yep, I'll find another tip here. Let's try this one. This card's not really very secure in here. It's got little plastic clips holding it in here. I have to set the camera down. There we go. And that's how that's done. Just punch another hole right where it should go. Stupid companies. Okay. Been finding quite a few video cards like that. And now the cable goes in there like it should. Okay. Uh-oh. Well, that sure does move a lot of air. That's a heck of a fan they got going right there. That moves quite a bit of air too. No beeps, no nothing. Now I hear the fan coming on. Well, that's a bummer. Guess you can't win them all. Looks like I'm gonna have to do some investigating on this thing and figure out what's going on with it. Maybe there's a reason it's been sitting so long. On a bright note, the Pentium Pro system down here, that thing's been running like a champ. Got one of the iOmega Bernoulli SCSI cards in it, and been using that with Windows 98. And yeah, it's been a great box, So that's definitely a keeper. Oh, yeah, this was a long video. Two computers I forgot to show last time. That one over there is a Packard Bell 486 SX 25, I think. It might be a 33, but I think it's a 25. Not much different from the Legend 610.
Smaller form factor though, it's pretty small. I don't believe it has a CD-ROM. It does have a hard drive. That computer does work. Works very good. Typical Packard Bell style. No L2 cache on the motherboard. This one right here is a Compaq Desk Pro 4633. And this one works, but is throwing a keyboard controller error, which is really the pits. Other than that, that thing works fine, so I don't know what's going on with that. Keyboard controller error, and no, it's not the keyboard, because it's funny, because that thing recognizes that there's no keyboard plugged into it, and it throws a error about there's no keyboard, and then it gives a keyboard controller error. When the keyboard's plugged into it, the keyboard flashes like it should, and then it just throws a keyboard controller error. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, this was a very long video, and I applaud you if you have sat through it this long. Hopefully I will be able to get the Pentium 60, get Batman up and running, because I think this is going to be an extraordinary computer. And this one does have the memory on the back side of that card. A little bit of a revision change on this card apparently, because it's got the L2 cache soldered onto it as opposed to plugging onto the board like you saw on the Computer Chronicles video. But yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this Vintage Computer Mega Haul 3.0 video. Take care everyone, and peace out.